Welcome to another episode of Thez Nutz Garage. And today, we're not working on that. Just ain't got time. So what we're going to be doing today is working on my daughter's 2012 Nissan Altima. The splash guard is busted, just I guess from normal wear and tear or hitting the curb as you're pulling into places. Our driveway's kind of got a funny curve, so she could have hit that a little bit. And I'm also going to replace the Serpentine belt. That car's probably got 140,000 miles on it, and I haven't changed it. So I think today's the day. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go in here and get to work on this thing. Let's go. Real quick about this car, we bought this car new, I think 2012. To date, it has 137,000 miles on it. Still has the original factory battery there. Been a pretty good car as far as mechanically, except for Nissan's transmissions. These CVT transmissions, this car was doing fine, and at 112,000 miles, gone, straight out. So took it to Nissan. It's pretty much a transmission you don't rebuild. You just throw them babies away and put a brand new one in it. So we took it to Nissan. They gave us a price of about $4,000. Called a couple of other places. They wouldn't rebuild them. They didn't rebuild them. If they put one in it, it came from Nissan, so it was the exact same transmission. So I filed a claim on it against Nissan, or with Nissan, because there was a recall on some transmission coolers on the year after this, I believe it was. So the representative from Nissan talked to the dealership, and Nissan paid for half of it. So we paid $2,000 for a new transmission in this car, which Nissan didn't have to do that. It had 112,000 miles, so that's a good service on their part. And plan on keeping it another 100,000 miles. Other than the little ding that's on the fender over here, that happened at Sonic. You know, pulling in, hitting the button. My daughter hit the little pole there or whatever. I've never fixed it, got the paint off of it. But that's basically the rundown on this car. Like I said, I'm gonna replace the Serpentine belt and the splash guard down below. So I'm gonna get on to that, so let's get at it. So as you can see, this splash guard is knocked down. I bought a new one. I think this one's busted. I bought a new one on eBay for $100. It's an original Nissan part, brand new. I bought some of the little retaining clips on eBay as well. So I'm gonna replace this, but what I'm first gonna do is put this car up on ramps, and then I'm going to take this splash guard off, and then after I get that off, I'm going to start working on the Serpentine belt. That'll make it a little bit easier to get to the Serpentine belt if all this is out of the way. So here we go. Here's our Serpentine belt we're going to be installing. I got this some time ago. Just got it from, looks like AutoZone. Just haven't had a chance to put it on. And then here's this splash guard. And then here's the little pack that of the little plastic clips that hold it on. Bought those from eBay as well. So we'll get down here underneath the car. Maybe you can see all this. Here's a clip that's come out, and then right here it's all busted up, and here it's busted. So this is something that you can easily bust, turning into driveways or into curbs or whatever, but it's kind of necessary that you have it on your car. Just don't think that you see this and you can rip it off and I don't need that. What it does is it prevents water from going up on the underside of your engine and compartment, and getting water where it shouldn't be, you know, like on your belts, causing your belts to slip. And you know, your belt starts slipping, it'll throw your battery light on because your alternator's not turning right, your power steering will go down. So it's just something that you need. If it breaks, they're cheap, easily to put on, replace them. So I'm gonna get started on this, removing this old one, and be right back. So here I am under the car, and I've got my light here just to kind of help me see. This car doesn't have, it looks like, any bolts that need to be removed under this clip. They're all little plastic clips. So all you're gonna need is a standard screwdriver. I have these little, what I call wire cutters. I usually kind of can use them to get in to pull down. A pair of needle nose pliers. So I'm gonna turn this light right here. Maybe you can't see that, maybe. So here's a clip here, and basically you just push it in. It should pop out just like that. Of course, I'm not going to be reusing any of these old ones. I got all new ones, so if they break, I don't really care. Some of these are really brittle, just after being used for 4 years. Before I take this front one down, I know I have a couple back here. That one's gone. Here's one. I'll remove it from the back. And here's one. Well, should just have one more. And that's it, it's down. Now that one there, it does look like it has a piece of foam that's running across the top. I guess that maybe gets a seal right here. So before I put my new one on, I'm gonna make sure that if it doesn't have that little piece of foam strip, I'm gonna put it on the new one. I'll show you that here in a minute. So now that we have this off, you can see that it kind of protects this area here from getting water up in it. And while I'm down here, I'm just gonna look, since this car does have 140 something thousand miles, I'm just trying to look at the engine. And here's that new transmission that we had put in it. But I'm just making sure it doesn't have any leaks. Doesn't look like it. So now let's get started on this Serpentine belt. All right, so I'm down here. Got to remove your right front wheel. You also have another splash guard that we have to remove, and it's basically this one. There should be a tab there, or a clip there, here. Looks like there's one here. Looks like there's supposed to be one here. Bad thing about this car is when the guys go to change the oil, my daughter takes it up there. Sometimes I change it, sometimes they do. The oil filter is right back in here, as you can see. And it seems like they like to leave that one out so that way it's easy access for them. It should have another one somewhere in here to really keep that closed. But I'm not adding one. So I'm gonna take this splash guard off real quick, and then we'll be able to see the Serpentine belt. Be back. Just pulling that out just a little bit. Take these pliers, you can kind of run in there and it'll just pop it right out. You can kind of see how that is. Once you put your pliers in there, it'll pop it out. They're not very hard. At the be honest with you, if you can't pop these plastic clips out, you should probably let somebody else replace this belt, because it's going to be a little bit more tedious than these. I always wear gloves. I don't have any on right now because I don't. Some sort of safety glasses. This isn't too bad as far as debris, but you never know. You could pop one of these things out and the plastic go in your eye. Just try to be safe when you're doing any of this. I have a jack here. I got a jack stand underneath this thing just in case something was to happen with a jack. I've got a way to catch this car. Because when you're laying up underneath here, you don't need to get crushed. And before I actually get up underneath this car, I'm going to probably put something else underneath it. So, as you can see now, we've kind of revealed our crank. This is, I guess, the harmonic balancer. And on it is the belt. And honestly, looking at this belt, I mean, this thing has 137,000 miles on it. You want to inspect it, but I am going to replace it. But to be honest with you, it don't have any cracks on it or any of that stuff, but I'm replacing it anyway. So, if you have one of these cars and you change your own oil, you can see this oil filter right here. It kind of is over this frame. And when you go to undo this, oil gets all over this frame, wants to run down. A quick little tip on that is take you some aluminum foil, fish it in here and wrap this frame so that way the oil will drain away. And then when it's done, you just pull that aluminum foil out and you didn't make a big mess of your frame with all this oil. So let me flip the camera around and I'll show you where this this idler is that we have to push up or release the pressure on this belt. A lot of people say you need 2 people to do this, but it's just me today, so we're going to try to do it with just me. So let me show you this. So there it is. This is the pulley, and it looks like we're going to have to put the socket on here, a ratchet, and it's going to have to be pulled up. And when you pull it up, it's going to take the tension off of this belt, and you can remove the belt. Just remember, these belts have grooves on one side and the other side it's smooth. Easy way to line a belt up, if just off the top of your head really, is if this idler here, this is smooth. So it's going to run against the smooth part of the belt. This is grooved, and when you go into the harmonic balancer here and all this pulley, this is grooved. So groove matches grooved and smooth matches smooth. So that's basically quick rule of thumb on these belts. If there's a smooth part of the belt running on a groove part, that's not correct. It's going to come off. So I'm going to get to doing this. I'm probably just going to set the camera back and let it run because it's very tight in here, as you can see, to get a ratchet in here. And you have to do it from I believe the top side. I'm just not going to be able to hold a phone and do that at the same time. So let me get started on that. All right, I've been fiddling with this a while, trying to get this idler pulley down enough to put the new belt on. I've got most of the belt fed through, but they do rent tools that you can go rent to make this a little bit easier. But no matter whether you go rent that tool from one of your local auto parts store, you're still going to have to do what I'm going to show you here in order to lock this idler pulley into place, which is this pulley right here. I've got my camera turned different so that way I can get up in here and show you this. So what I've done is I've taken an Allen wrench, and if you pull this idler pulley all the way down, right here, there's 2 pieces of this housing, and it's got a hole in it, and you can basically feed this Allen wrench all the way through it. and that will lock it into position, so that way you can get your belt around all these pulleys, then pull back on your pulley, pull that idler, this Allen wrench out, and it'll let this idler pulley come down. If you don't do that, it's gonna be daggum near impossible to really get this belt on there right. So I'm gonna finish doing this and I'll be back. Okay, so now I've got my belt reinstalled. I still have my Allen wrench, as you can see right there, still in place. And I've put all the belt on everywhere it went, on the groove surfaces at the top, back here, around my harmonic balancer, my AC compressor. And the last part I installed is around this idler, because this is pretty smooth metal, smooth belt, and it may take you a minute, but this belt was really tight. It'll just start and you can slip it around this idler pulley. Now what I'm going to do, I've got this Allen wrench kind of turned out. I'm going to put my, I think that's a 14 millimeter bolt, an open end wrench, box wrench. I'm going to pull back and pull enough pressure off of the Allen wrench that I can pull it out, and then that belt should be installed. Be careful when doing this. This has a lot amount of pressure, tension on it, and without putting, like I said, without putting that Allen wrench in there, it's gonna give you teetotal heck. So put that Allen wrench in there, and that will lock this into place, because if that thing snaps, and if you watch the time-lapse video that was before this segment here, my open end wrench popped off of that, or box end wrench popped off of this a couple of times. And that's quick to break fingers. If you've got one of your fingers in here and you're trying to fool with this and that thing snaps off, it'll pinch your finger in here, and then you're gonna probably break your finger. So just make sure you block this idler with some sort of Allen wrench. And that way it prevents that from happening and hurting yourself. So I'm gonna get back to this, and we'll finish this job up. So here are these little clips. I bought these off of eBay. I bought a pack of 100 for $6 shipped to me. How in the world? But I basically only need 5 of these, so I'm just gonna put new ones on it. And basically they come apart. And you basically have to take this piece, put it into this piece, and then it'll one-handed here. Just put it in there like that. Just pop it in just a little bit. And basically when you're ready to install it, it looks something like that. You have a little bit poking out on that end. So I'm gonna need 5 of these for at least this splash guard here. Like I said, I'm just gonna replace it with new pieces. So I'm gonna do this and be back. Alrighty, now that I got this Serpentine belt on, we can put this piece back on. And it does look like, here's our old piece, and you can see the difference between them and how it's all busted up between the two. This was the piece that I was talking about, wanting to make sure that the new one had it on it. And it does. I didn't notice that when I took that off, so on the new one. So it was flipped over. So it does have that piece on it, and I'll zip around here. Like I said, this is for a 2012 Nissan Altima. I believe it'll work on mostly all of them, but double check that. So that's the part number and all that stuff. So I'm gonna start reinstalling this. Be back. Get my lights set up down here. Make it easier to see. I think this thing takes 12 little clips. And as I did on the last video when I was working on the Fusion, I'm going to start up here at the front, work my way back. And kind of looks like we got to go up underneath this clip, that part of the frame. I guess that's where this other one was busted, was over here. So we want to push that back and make sure there's a little lip that this fits up underneath it. So I'm going to get this done, and I'll be right back. Okay, so I had to run to O'Reilly's. The little clips that I ordered for the back, they were fine. They worked perfect. Up here, the holes were a little bit bigger, so I had to go get some, it says Nissan splash guard push rivets. So these are $3 for 2. So if I would have known that they were different sizes, I would have ordered some more off online and got 100 for, you know, $6. So basically you just push it in there, and once the bottom piece is all the way up, just push that in and it locks it right in there. Make sure they're in really good. I got one more. And that's that. So I'm just checking to make sure they're all in there real good. And that's the splash shield installed on this car. I've got my belt on. You can see that it's checking it to make sure it's aligned, it's not making any noise. So before you just go taking off down the road, make sure you let it run a few minutes, make sure you don't hear it squealing, making any funny noises. Before you get going down the road and it come off and cause you a lot of problems. Some cars also have which this one doesn't have it, they'll have a diagram of how that belt's supposed to be wrapped around the pulleys and all that stuff. This car actually doesn't have one. Thanks for watching. Please like our video and subscribe to our channel. And in a couple of weeks, I'm going to be back working on the truck, and then I also have some work to do on this here van over here. I need to install a headliner. So keep an eye out for those videos, and y'all have a blessed day.